So now that the 97th Academy Awards are in the rearview mirror, what do I think were the very best nominations? Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the Awards Contender, and this is a video I've been excited to make for a few weeks now. I had to wait until after the ceremony to do this one. And of course, the worst list coming your way later this week. But yeah, now that the dust has settled on the 97th Oscars, it's time for my top 10 list of the best nominations of the year. So I have 3 rules here. I can't repeat a film, I can't repeat a category, and no winners, right? So at the top of this list, I'm not going to say Best Picture Anora, Best Actor Adrian Brody or something like that. It can't be winners. It's only nominees. And so I'm not just going through a movie I love and giving it picture, director, actress, and so forth. That would be kind of boring. I limit myself to, in these top 10, only one film and one category. So it did make some of these a little tricky. I'm excited to reveal my favorite nomination of the year. It might not be what you're expecting. So let's start with number 10, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
So I am all for horror and the Oscars. I made a long series of videos all about those rare occasions when a genre performance gets in and, maybe wins. That has happened before. I was really thrilled this past year to see both The Substance and Nosferatu get in. Not just in one category, but multiple. Nosferatu didn't win anything, but it got 4 nominations, and they were all fantastic. My favorite nomination, I would say, for the movie, and the one it came closest to winning, I would say, if The Substance wasn't there, was Best Makeup and Hairstyling. That was a phenomenal nomination for Nosferatu. I think the work done on Bill Skarsgård in that movie is pretty remarkable. You do not see Bill Skarsgård at all. It is a really extraordinary work of makeup for that character, and yeah, it would have been a worthy winner if The Substance hadn't been in the same category. I do think it's one of the 10 best nominations at the 97th Oscars. Number 9, Best Cinematography, Dune Part 2. So I don't know how you felt, these last few weeks. It was kind of a bummer for me to see Dune Part 2 underperform, in its number of nominations, in its wins. The first Dune did so well back in 2022. It won 6 technical prizes. And Dune Part 2, it won 2. It got sound and visual effects, and that was great. But, I think Dune Part 2 is better than Dune Part 1. So that was weird to see it just not have the same kind of reception, I would say. And, I know The Brutalist was a very worthy winner of Best Cinematography. The cinematography in that film is great. But I also love the cinematography of Dune Part 2. It is so rich. It expands that world. You get black and white. You get color. Big action sequences. Quiet scenes. Just on, dunes of 2 people talking with the desert landscape behind them. The camera swooping around Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet. There's so many great shots in Dune Part 2. I'm happy it at least got into cinematography, right? That would have been crazy if Dune Part 2 hadn't at least gotten the nomination, but it would have been a really terrific win as well. I think one of the best examples of cinematography in 2024 cinema was Dune Part 2. Number 8, Best Original Screenplay, A Real Pain.
No, I just feel sorry. Okay. Is anyone else feeling this right now?
Feeling what?
This creepy feeling that we're royalty?
So part of the reason those last few days before the show, I was thinking of moving my prediction and original screenplay over to A Real Pain. Part of it was its surprise win at BAFTA. Some of it was seeing other pundits and people actually switching to A Real Pain, actually going there away from Anora. But part of it was I love that movie. It just barely missed my top 10 of the year. It was 12 or 13, I would say. I mean, obviously the Kieran Culkin performance got the most notice from the film, but at the end there, it looked like Jesse Eisenberg had a shot to take Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. He was probably in second after that BAFTA win, even though the movie wasn't in picture or director or lead actor or any of those categories. There was a lot of adoration, I would say, for A Real Pain. And it's like, in terms of like a screenplay win, that makes sense for that movie. It's very dialogue heavy, and just like the trajectory of that story, the characters and like where they end up in the end. It's a really, really terrific original screenplay of 2024. That is a fantastic Oscar nomination, and it makes this list. Number 7, Best Supporting Actor, Yura Borisov, Anora.
This car is very you.
Do you like it?
So this is the only nomination I could include in this video because Anora got 6 Oscar nominations and it won 5, right? So my favorite film of the year, if I wanted it to be a part of this video, I could only talk about Best Supporting Actor, where Yura Borisov got in everywhere, right? From the Globes to the Oscars, he did not miss, which was one of the great thrills of the award season. I was like, maybe he'll get, a BAFTA nomination, or like maybe he'll show up somewhere, but to like get in everywhere for that performance in Anora, that was freaking awesome. And for him to get the Oscar nomination, I was so excited for him. I mean, early on in the season, I thought Mark Eidelstein was like maybe the supporting actor play from that movie because it is a flashier performance. But soon enough, I was like, no, Yura Borisov makes more sense. Like, he's like a bigger part of that story, especially in the third act, like at the end. Like, that made sense to me ultimately. And I love his performance. I love that nomination. For the most part, I did like those Best Supporting Actor nominations, like especially Guy Pearce for The Brutalist. I thought about having him here, but we're going to get to The Brutalist in a little bit. So, again, only 1 nomination per movie. I can't give The Brutalist 2. It's got to be 1. I don't know why I make these rules for myself, but I do it year after year, and here we are. Yura Borisov is another fantastic supporting actor nomination of this past year, and he would have been a worthy winner. As much as I adore Culkin and A Real Pain, I don't think he needed to sweep the season. We could have had a surprise here and there, and Yura Borisov for that tender, memorable performance in Anora, like especially at the end. He's so moving, he's so great in that. He would have made a great surprise winner somewhere along the way. I'm just thankful he got in everywhere, he got the Oscar nomination, one of the best nominations of the year. Number 6, Best Supporting Actress, Ariana Grande, Wicked. I am still just in awe of her performance in that movie and how I spent most of 2024 doubting her. I was like, yeah, she'll probably be fine. I'm just like, Ariana Grande, like starring in a big movie. I was like, I wasn't sure about that. And boy, did she put any doubts to rest. Like in those early scenes of the film, I knew pretty early on. I was like, oh my God, she is going to hit this out of the park. She is a comic force in that movie. And it is kind of crazy, guys. It is crazy that Ariana Grande did not win 1 major televised prize for her performance in Wicked. Was it that, she's pretty new to movies, because it's a more comedic performance, because there's a second Wicked movie coming in a few months? All of those things might have played factors, because as much as we all love Zoe Saldana, there wasn't much love for Emilia Perez, especially those last few weeks. So, especially at SAG, I would say, it's pretty wild that Grande could not win anything for that frickin' phenomenal performance in Wicked. She was tremendous in that film. I can't wait to see what she does in the follow-up. I am hoping that both Grande and Erivo will be back at the Oscars for Wicked for good, in a year's time. I'm hoping that's the case, crossing my fingers. Maybe they'll have some more wins next season. But even with like a second film coming, like I think Grande was good enough, was strong enough to win a few things for Wicked Part 1. And yes, she is one of the very best nominations of the year. Number 5, Best Animated Feature, The Wild Robot.
Processing personal. Bright Bill. Bright Bill. Is that satisfactory?
Okay, so to be honest, guys, I mean, that was a bummer. That was a huge bummer, The Wild Robot not winning Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. Flow is lovely. I really enjoyed it, and that's all. I mean, it's a good win for that movie. You know, I have nothing against Flow. I really, really like that film. I just think The Wild Robot is one of the best animated films we've had in the last 10 years, easily, I would say. Like, I mean, it's one of the very few animated features to make my top 10 list. The other one, like, in recent years was Luca, 2021. I love Luca as well. And that also got into Best Animated Feature at the Oscars and didn't win. I'm like, wow, like, The Wild Robot, it, like, swept the Annie Awards. It won PGA, but it couldn't win the Oscar. Like, really? Okay. I mean, the Academy is very, like, international now, right? I mean, I think that has played a role in the wins in animated feature the last few years. Like last year, The Boy and the Heron winning over Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The international vote now does seem to be a big factor in what wins an animated feature, you know? So, like, it wasn't the shocker of the century to have Flo win. I freaking love The Wild Robot. It's got everything you want in an animated film, in a movie, just in general. It's got everything. It's one of the very few 2024 releases I saw twice in the theater. I don't really do that at all anymore, and I was thrilled to go back and watch The Wild Robot with my nephews, and I cried all over again, and just everything about that movie, the detail, the voice work, the action, the humor, the emotion, it's such a beautiful movie. And it is absolutely one of the best nominations of 2024. Number 4, Best Picture, The Brutalist.
Haven't you told them anything about me?
Laszlo, how long have you been here now? 4, 5 years? You have no excuse anymore.
So when it came to The Brutalist, in this video, I thought about, picking supporting actor Guy Pearce, supporting actress Felicity Jones, director Brady Corbet. I settled on just Best Picture. This was my favorite film of 2024 that was nominated for Best Picture and didn't win. Like, I prefer Anora over The Brutalist, but Anora won. So, in this video, if Anora hadn't won, let's say Conclave would have taken picture at the Oscars, Anora would have been my number 1 choice in this video for Best Picture. But it took the gold trophy there. So, like, what's second for me in those 10 in picture this last year? It was The Brutalist. What an incredible film. I'm still kind of on a high from watching that movie way back in September at the Toronto Film Festival. It was so exciting to watch those 3.5 hours, be completely absorbed in that story from minute 1. The intermission, like letting you just kind of sit with the first half of the movie for 15 minutes, I thought was really effective, actually. I really like that. And then the second half I thought was just as powerful, like just as memorable in so many ways. And I mean, I haven't revisited The Brutalist since because it is very long. I have to carve out a section of time. But one of these weeks, I want to watch The Brutalist again and fall under its spell. Those performances, the script, the direction, the cinematography. I mean, there's so much to love about that movie. And yeah, getting into Best Picture had to happen. That was always going to happen. We had some wonderful Best Picture nominations this last year. But if I had to pick my favorite that didn't win, it's The Brutalist. Number 3, Best Actor, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing.
So are you acting at all during this interview?
Absolutely not.
So are you ready for Coleman Domingo to win an Oscar? Because I am, right? what a weird couple years there to have Domingo in Best Actor twice, right? Like he got in for Rustin. The movie didn't do well in any other category, so he really had no shot in hell of winning for Rustin. And then the same thing kind of happened for Sing Sing. It didn't get into Best Picture like most of us expected it to. It got into Adapted Screenplay, it got into Song. But yeah, the film underperformed to such an extent that Domingo just could not be competitive to win in Best Actor again for Sing Sing, and that was a bummer because what a phenomenal performance he gives in that film. It has absolutely stayed with me, both Domingo and Clarence Macklin, I would say. Like Macklin not even getting nominated in Supporting Actor. That was wild. And just, I think, in a really strong Best Actor category this year, I mean, you also had like Chalamet in A Complete Unknown, you had Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. Like, there's really no one I would take out of that lineup. All 5 nominations, all 5 performances were outstanding. But going beyond Adrian Brody's really, really fine work in The Brutalist, my favorite performance in Best Actor this year was Domingo for Sing Sing. He just breaks your heart in that movie. That scene toward the end where he's with his fellow actors and he just goes off. That scene where he's like being interrogated almost like by that woman and she's like, oh, well, you're an actor? Are you faking this right now? Like that scene's really powerful. I love Coleman Domingo as an actor in general. And he is having a moment right now, first with Rustin, last year getting in at the Oscars, and now Sing Sing. I mean, I'm hearing things about that Michael Jackson biopic. He's in that. He might go into supporting actor for that film. And I just adore this actor so much. He is so freaking talented. And the next time he gets an Oscar nomination, whether it's for Michael or for something else, I want that man to win. Number 2, Best Actress, Fernanda Torres, I'm Still Here.
Que vocês querem? Cadê meu marido?
So did I get you on that one? I bet I surprised you with that one. You probably thought I was going to say Demi Moore. Like I made an entire Elusive Oscar video about her and her career. I wanted her to win Best Actress. Like in that moment when Emma Stone opened the envelope, it was Demi Moore's name. I wanted to hear. So why am I not going with her in my favorite nominations of the year? Well, just wait. Let me get to number 1. I'll explain everything with number 1. But yeah, in a very rich field of Best Actress contenders as well. I mean, of course, I loved Mikey Madison for Anora, my choice for Performance of the Year. She won, so she can't be in this list. And then you had Demi Moore in The Substance, which is another, just freaking awesome performance. I love her in that. And, I could have picked her for this list, but I'm only allowed to pick 1 nomination per film, so I'm not going with Demi Moore here. I'm going with another astonishing performance in the movies in 2024, and that was Fernanda Torres in I'm Still Here. What a story that was. Like, the movie and the performance that could, that just kept gaining traction every few weeks. I saw the film at the Toronto Film Festival. It was maybe the one movie I saw that entire week I knew almost nothing about. I had a little window in my schedule, one of my last 2 or 3 days, I would say, and I knew it was Walter Salles who had made Central Station and The Motorcycle Diaries, and those are 2 great films. And so I said, I'll take a chance on this. I don't know, maybe it's nothing, but let's take a chance. And that film just blew me away. Fernanda Torres in that movie. I was like, damn. If enough people see this, she could absolutely be an awards contender this season for Best Actress. But I didn't know, it was a foreign film. It's not a very big film. I was like, maybe it just fades away. But in my early Best Actress videos, I kept talking about her. I'm like, and also, guys, there's Fernanda Torres, who is really something else in I'm Still Here. And then for her to win the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama, that was a moment. And then her securing that Best Actress Oscar nomination over some heavy hitters, right? Like Angelina Jolie, like Marianne Jean-Baptiste, that Fernanda Torres got in there and was actually talked about like as a possibility to win. Some people went with her. I don't know. I just think Fernanda Torres in that movie made this past award season all the more exciting for their participation in it. I just think that was such a great story. The film ultimately winning Best International Feature over Emilia Perez, which had 13 nominations that I'm Still Here was able to win in the end, was awesome. And Fernanda Torres, like that heartbreaking performance she gives in I'm Still Here. It's just one of the great performances I saw in 2024, and I still remember walking out of that theater in Toronto and just being bowled over by her. I was like, wow, what a performance. And that she did as well as she did this past award season, that she was in the running to maybe win the Oscar for Best Actress. This is a very, very special nomination. I was so thrilled for her. I can't wait to see what she does next. You know, I would love to see Fernanda Torres back at the Oscars in the next few years. I mean, I think we're all going to have our eye on her and seeing where her career goes next. I just think she is an amazing talent, and her Oscar nomination for Best Actress was one of this year's best. And finally, that takes me to my number one choice. What do I think was the number one Oscar nomination for 2024 that did not win? Well, I didn't go with Demi Moore for The Substance in Best Actress. I didn't go for the film in Best Picture, but my number one choice for the best Oscar nomination of the year is Best Director, Coralie Farja, The Substance. I frickin' love that Oscar nomination for Farja in Best Director. Obviously, I was thrilled to see it get into picture. Demi Moore, we all knew, like by Oscar nominations morning, we knew she was getting into Best Actress. You know, Margaret Qualley had missed SAG and BAFTA, so I wasn't feeling too confident about her. I felt pretty good about original screenplay and very good about makeup and hairstyling. But Best Director, you know, she was kind of on the bubble there. She got into a few places in Director, but she didn't get the DGA nomination. And this year, I was like, okay, we gotta nominate Coralie Farja for The Substance. I mean, talk about a swing, right? A swing that absolutely 100% connected. If Coralie Farja is not the person telling the story of The Substance, both as screenwriter and as director, that movie is not going to be as special as it turned out to be. Like, as great as the performances are and the cinematography and certain things, it's the approach that Coralie Farja takes to that material that is so impressive and fascinating and just awe-inspiring, really. I mean, that narrative could have crashed and burned in 100 different ways if she had not committed, right? And not been as bold and confident in her vision. I don't think The Substance works, you know? But there was something about her courage and her style and her approach to that material that was just so much fun to watch from beginning to end. You knew you were in very good hands. And so, as much as I adore, of course, that Demi Moore nomination in Actress and that Best Picture nomination, obviously, that's great. When I really thought about it, like, what is my favorite Oscar nomination for The Substance? It's Best Director for Coralie Farja. For a woman to get into Best Director at the Oscars for a movie like that, you know? I mean, all these weeks later, I'm still kind of amazed that the Academy embraced The Substance the way they did. That they gave it 5 nominations. I know it only won makeup and hairstyling. It would have been nice for that film to have won 2. I still feel that way. But like, even though Coralie Farja had no shot in hell of winning Best Director, just the nomination for her really fills my heart with joy. I think that was so well deserved. I cannot wait to see what she does next. I mean, I don't know if she'll be back at the Oscars anytime soon, but I'm happy it happened for her with this movie. Best Director, Coralie Farja for The Substance is my choice for the #1 Oscar nomination of 2024. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and let me know in the comments below what are your choices for the best Oscar nominations of 2024, and stay tuned for my list of the top 10 worst Oscar nominations of the year coming your way shortly. I'll see you next time at the Awards Contender.